We're calling Charlie's Pool Room, home of those world-famous hot dogs with Grandma Fentz's secret sauce. At this time, our kitchen is closed for renovations. We are hoping to reopen again in the near future. We'd like to thank you all for supporting our business for so many years. We are very grateful. If you'd like to leave a message, please do so at the beep. Thank you, and have a great day.
This is Grandma Fencz. She's responsible for the secret Hungarian sauce on top of Charlie's Pool Room hot dogs. And these are the Fencz Brothers, Joe and John, owners of Charlie's Pool Room, a business that's been in their family since the 1920s. Not much has changed since the 1920s, which is why Joe and John need your help to get their business running again.
And it's funny with the business because we actually would have probably been closed, I would say, in early 2000s if it wasn't for the internet, because this was always a hangout that just happened to sell hot dogs. And we lost all the kids, and all of our industrial accounts either moved or closed. The kids got all the texting and what you call it, video and this and that, so we lost all the kids, so it's no longer a hangout. So we wound up on the internet in, what year was it?
2005.
Yeah, 2005, we got on the internet. The funny thing of it is, we don't even have a computer, and we've got to be on 50 websites. I think it's amazing. So thank God for the internet and the people that have put us up there and shared all this stuff with the blogs and this and that or whatever and the different sites, because without it, we had no chance to stay in business. So it's been kind of a neat thing because we got people coming from all over the country. It's been amazing. And with our situation here, we've had a lot of people that offered help, physical help, financial help. We've been getting checks from all over the country from different people. And this thing here at the Circa is going to be neat because this is, everything helps. We're very grateful to Jen and Mike and everybody else involved in this in order to help us to raise some funds that we're going to need it. It's not a cheap thing to get this thing back online, considering all the work that we have to do because of the age of the place and everything antiquated. Welcome to Charlie's Pool Room, home of those world famous hot dogs with Grandma Fentz's secret sauce. Come on in. This is the front of our building here. This was built in 1909. We got the old candy counter here and the creaky floors. Come over in this room here. Kind of a mess in there, but that was the original City Hall in Alpha. That room right in there, you can just take a quick glance in there. That was my dad's barbershop, our father's barbershop for 65 years, but it was original City Hall in Alpha. Enter into here, this is the dining room. The round table where everybody sits. This is Holly Moore of HollyEats.com calls this the community table. This is where everybody sits in here. The pool table, which nobody shoots anymore. Those things are history. And you want to come in the back, you come in our kitchen, which is not in operation right now. Light on there. This is our kitchen, and this is going to have to be completely remodeled here. We got to put in new sinks and new stoves and alarm fire systems and stuff and flooring and walls and everything. So this is what we have to do to get the place back to code so we can start operating again to sell more hot dogs. Hopefully, if everything goes right, we'll be back in the fall this year sometime.
My dad said he always lived on borrowed time. He was a prisoner of war and stuff like that. But I said, here, everything worked out. And I said, the Lord's in control of our business, not us. We're just caretakers here. Me and my brother, we're just the caretakers running it, running the business and stuff. But he meets our needs. You can't run ahead of him. We got the plumbing issue to get done. Then we got to submit a plan to the Board of Health. And they got to approve that. Then we can work from there to get the business back into running and stuff.
No, it wasn't built to be a business in the kitchen. It wasn't built. It actually was our grandmother's kitchen where she sat and ate, in there. And so all of our fixtures and everything are antiquated. Our sinks and piping's all 1925. The stove we cook on is 1958. And it's a simple business. You know, we got a pot, a pan, a fork, and a spoon. You know, but it's the sauce. The sauce is fantastic, and kind of makes us unique in that respect. You know.
A brief history.
Charlie's Pool Room. Our family's been here since 1920. You know, the business was actually started in 1909. Alpha's first mayor built this place for his son. He sold it to our grandfather in 1920, and Grandma Fencz started making those famous hot dogs in 1925, and my brother started cooking in what year was it?
1973.
He's been making them since 1973.
41. Yeah, it'll be 41 years. Well, I said I really love to cook the hot dogs. That's my job. You know, that's the only job I ever held. You know, and stuff. And, you know, because I tell people, I've been cooking for 41 years, and I know the Board of Health could close us down any day, and that's what happened. But they gave us, you know, they kept us going for the last 20 years and stuff. You know, but you gotta meet everything, bring everything up to code and stuff. The modern rules change, you know, shut down the business and stuff. You know.
Who's Charlie?
Well, the name of the place is Charlie's Pool Room, and how it got to come that way was our grandfather was Frank Fencz, and he was a shoemaker, so it was Frank Fentz's shoe repair and pool room. But during the Depression, our grandfather was going to lose the place. You know, things were so rough, you know, and couldn't pay the mortgage. So our dad, who was a barber over in that other room over there for 65 years, him and my Uncle Charlie lived here. Charlie married my dad's oldest sister. Her name was Charlie Penyak, and they lived here with the family, my Aunt Betty and Uncle Charlie, and grandfather was going to lose the place, so my dad and uncle decided to talk with him and say, let us take the business over during the Depression. So what they did was, because our dad had the barber shop, they put it in my Uncle Charlie's name. They put the place in Charlie Penyak's name back in, well, probably been I'd say maybe the late 20s, early 30s, somewhere around there. They put it in his name, and it stayed in Charlie's name, and they left and moved to Milford, and really had nothing to do with the business after that, but Charlie name stuck. You get this all the time when we used to go out with my brother, myself, my dad.
Who's Charlie?
Who's Charlie? Who's Charlie? It's John, Joe, and Joe. Who's Charlie? You know what I mean? So we'd have to explain that to people. You know, that's where it came, and never decided to change it back. So it's got a nice ring to it. You know? That's a little history of the Charlie's Pool Room name.
Why do you think Charlie's is such a beloved place?
I always liken Charlie's Pool Room to a time warp. You know, when you walk in, and you got the old tin ceilings and the creaky floors and the candy counter that's been there since the beginning of time, the old round table, the old wooden creaky floors. You know, you can't walk in. A mouse can't cross our floor without hearing anything. You know, it's like a built-in burglar alarm system. And I had a family. I had a brother, two brothers come in from Newark one time. Joe, and what was his brother's first name? I forget. I can't remember his brother's first name now. But he came in, and I was telling him, I said, you know, this is like a time warp. And he goes, no. He goes, a visit to Charlie's Pool Room is like being in an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Roger?
Roger, that's it. His brother was Roger. So, you know, he comes back about a week later, and Roger was his older brother, and I said, how's Roger doing? He goes, you know what that my brother's doing? He's sitting around there talking to his old buddies, saying, hey, I was sitting and eating hot dogs in the Twilight Zone last week. You know, so it's kind of a unique place. You got to remember, it was built in 1909. It was built in 09, and there hasn't been much changes in there. You know, and it's just basically the same. Especially people my age, my brother's age. It's like coming in here and turning the clock back. You know, it's like going back to your childhood and stuff. So it's kind of neat. Because I noticed some of the younger people, you know, like the people in the late teens, early 20s and stuff, they might not appreciate this as much, you know, as the older people, because, you know, you're used to all new stuff. And every place you go, everything's new and fancy and clean and this and that and everything, you know. And, you know, we're just the opposite here, you know, we're kind of old and, you know, some people call ramshackle, you know.
Grandma's famous sauce, that's, you know, that's where it is, you know. and things, and without that we could probably close. Without that, because like the other places, if they would come here, the location we're in is not, and that easy to find in that sense. They would probably won't make it neither here, because you have to have something special for the people that come pretty far away here to come for hot dogs and stuff. They've been off the internet.
It's kind of, we put a lot of hours in here, It's nothing for us to work 80 hours a week, with being we're open 60. You're open 60 hours, and then plus all the work you do in the beginning and at the end, so a mere 80-hour week, so.
What is the farthest distance someone has ever traveled to eat a hot dog at Charlie's Pool Room?
Oh, we had some interesting people that have traveled here. I had a father and son come in one night, and I asked him where they were from. He says, Portland, Oregon. I said, holy cow, all the way from Oregon. I said, how the heck did you find us? He said, well, my son's looking at going to college on the East Coast, and they were at different colleges up in New England and stuff, and Lafayette and Easton was their last stop. So he says, I come out of Lafayette and we're hungry, and I said to my son, I said, where do you want to go? Ruby Tuesdays or someplace to get something to eat? And he said, wait a minute, I just got this new iPhone. This is a few years ago, they just came out, and they had the apps on there. And the father hits this app, this little square on the phone, and up pops Charlie's Pool Room. Is so hilarious. /1 restaurant in a 36-mile radius. It was mind-boggling. I mean, to see that. We never knew that happen. And this father and son, they actually own two famous restaurants in Portland, Oregon, called Papa Haydn's. So I would say in the States, that was the furthest someone came. And then we had another interesting visit from a fellow from
Michigan?
what was the name of that town?
It was in Michigan, Texas.
No. Fort McLeod, Alberta, Canada. This fella comes in from Canada, and I asked him how he found us. And he said that, well, I was going to New York on business, and a friend of mine found us on the internet, found Charlie's on the internet, and mentioned it to him and said, do you think while you're in New York, I know you got to go to Pennsylvania on business, could you scout this place out for me? I said, sure. So he comes in, he orders a mealie, he eats one mealie, the sauce, the onions, the hot peppers, one mealie, and he says, oh, you better give me a couple more. And he eats them, and he walks out to the front of the pool room, stands by the pinball machine, and calls Canada. He calls back up in Alberta. And he hands me the phone. And he goes, here. I picked the phone up and says, hello. I says, he goes, Joe. I said, yeah, it's just Trent. I'm coming down. He hasn't showed up yet, but he said that, he was going to come in from Canada. It was really interesting. And this fella who was here, I'm down on the library one day screwing around with the internet, and I happened to Google Charlie's Pool Room, and I'm scrolling through there, and I see this name, John Ward Hannum. I said, man, I know that name. I'm thinking. So I check our guest book, and here it was this fella from Canada, and here I look it up on there. Here he's a very famous folk singer, won all the awards in Canada for writing folk songs and this, and I click it on. And they got a video on there. He's playing his guitar and singing folk music. It's pretty neat. We never know who's going to show up from day to day. It's the neatest thing because even while we've been closed, we've had a lot of new people who've come in who didn't know we were closed over these last few months, and so we never know from day to day who's going to show up.
Is it true that you keep track of every order that is placed?
For the last, since 2008, so that's 5 years, I had the record of every hot dog that was sold in the place and who bought it.
Yeah.
I think, though, since we've been closed, I may have thrown them away. I may have thrown that list away, because the list was pretty thick, I may have discarded that. I'm not sure, but I think I may have.
How did you start giving out nicknames to Charlie's Pool Room customers?
Most of the nicknames come when these kids would be hanging here for a while. If you just visit us once, it's hard to get a nickname. But if you visit us, I said we were a hangout for so many years. and it's just sometimes it just pops up. You know, I don't know exactly how. Like Michael, I don't even remember with the name Shenanigans how we got that. I might have mentioned it to him one name. I mentioned the word shenanigans, and of course he wasn't familiar with that. He's too young to know what that word means. And so that kind of stuck with him now. And I love the calls from him because I says, he'll call and he goes, Joe, John, shenanigans. It was funny, some of the nicknames, it was so unique over the years. We actually have some people who have nicknames. When they sign their name, they use that. When they put names on their shirts, they'll put their nickname on their shirt. It's really something, you know.
What are some other ones? Like other people's?
Like nicknames? Quani. It's a fellow lives in Florida now. His name was Art, and he got that name Quani, and he's been known since he's like a freshman in high school, and he's got to be in his 50s now, or even older, right? Or maybe he's your age.
Yeah, he's older. He's
he's probably in his 60s.
He's 60.
And he still goes by that name.
It would be about 63.
Yeah. And Wafu, that was another one. Funny name, Wafu. Yeah, but it's hard to say. You know, you just when you're in there and you're interacting with the people, you know, all the time, and something comes up, or you know, there's no pattern to how a nickname is developed. There's really no pattern on it. It just happens, you know, if you hang around long enough, you know. Because I had a girl come in and the friend of hers says, how come I don't have a nickname? And her name was Jen, as a matter of fact. I said, you ain't been here long enough.
Who cooks all the dogs?
My brother, he's the cook. John's basically the cook here. He does like 99.9% of the cooking. And I always called him the chef. But one of our customers corrected me and said, no, he's not the chef. You're the chef. Because I'm the one that makes the sauces and prepares everything. And John's the finisher. He's the guy that does all the cooking. He's got the hard job. Handling them hot rolls coming out of the steamer and stuff. And you know, standing in one spot all day long. So he has the more difficult task here of preparing the hot dogs, which they are extremely good. And let everybody out there know, my brother and I have not had a hot dog since we've been closed.
That's true.
And we're suffering along with the rest of you. We're not going to have any until Charlie's reopens. And I miss him because he doesn't eat them that often, but I eat them every Saturday. When Saturdays roll around, I ain't got no dogs, I'm dying.
Who makes your posters?
Ron Dota is his name. R-O-N-D-O-T-A, Ronald Dota. He's been coming here since he's a young kid. I think Ronnie just turned 60, right? And he just turned 60 years old. And it's funny because if you look at the posters, you go along. This was February 12, 1975, when the hot dog record was broke by Ed Bodine Ketro here. 30 years to the day, Saturday, February 12, 2005, when Brandon Petrillo broke the record, and Ronnie didn't make a poster for 30 years. We had to get him out of retirement to come out and make this other poster here. Brandon, this one here, and then he broke the record again. And if you look at the wall over there, you'll see that that's the last poster that he did of Mark Mongo and Kudovic. He's the last fellow to break the hot dog record. That's a little over 3 years ago. Ron Dota is a fantastic artist, a great guy, one of our best customers for years, and I know he's dying for hot dogs just like the rest of us. My brother's the guy. My brother does all these scripture and different sayings and things and stuff. He finds them in different books and stuff and puts them up. This was the sign from last summer when we had the hot dog contest that the Express Times put on, the hot dog show, which was a big blessing to us because we had so many new customers just come from this one alone. It was amazing.
How many hot dogs were you selling per week?
Well, a good week for us would be between 400 to 500 hot dogs. You know, that's a real solid week for us. You know, we're compared to all the other hot dog stands around, they'll make that in a couple hours. You know, because, you know, everything here is custom made. It takes a while. And that's one of the drawbacks of the fact is if you can't wait. You know, it's just like the editor of the Express. I get a kick out of Jim Deegan. In his article last year, he said, if you're in a hurry, go someplace else. And that's true, you know, because here everything's custom made. It takes time. You know, everybody's used to fast food. As a matter of fact, I was down on the internet at the library one day, and I was just screwing around again. And all of a sudden, I seen this website come up called Slow Food Society, and they had our name in the Slow Food Society. You know, so that's what we rank as slow food, not fast food. That's for sure.
Is it true you've both only missed 4 days of work?
Actually, we missed like 3 days being sick in those 41 plus years. You know,
2007.
Yeah, 2007, first week we got the flu. And so we were sick for 3 days, and it's not bad, 3 days off in 40 years. And we've actually only been 2 times, I think it was 06, was it? 06 and last summer were actually the only 2 weeks that we ever closed in the history of the business. You know, it was just a week in 06 and a week last year. And now we're kind of in limbo with the improvements that we have to make with the kitchen and the health department and the fire marshal and stuff to bring everything up to code. So got a lot of plumbing issues. We're getting them taken care of, and then we got the, you know, it's going to be a lot of time and a lot of money, and you know, this is what we're trying to do. Hopefully, be back in business in the fall sometime. You know.
It's a real blessing that people, you know, wanted to share. We didn't ask. They just handed the things. The one fellow gave me a roll. I didn't even look. I put it on the side, and I talked to him when he left and stuff. Then I looked, and I couldn't believe what he gave us. You know, money. You know, things.
Jammin for Jersey, a nonprofit organization that helps those in need in the state of New Jersey, is hosting a benefit for Charlie's Pool Room at Circa on 37 Main Street in Highbridge, New Jersey on Sunday, August 25th, 2013 from 1 to 7:30 p.m. There will be live music from local bands, a cash bar, and various vendors. We will also be selling hot dogs with Charlie's secret sauce, in addition to Charlie's Pool Room t-shirts, to help raise money to reopen Charlie's Pool Room. Charlie's Pool Room needs a little CPR. Help save a local legend. Keep small business alive.
Again, thank you very much.
There used to be a steak shop over in Easton by the name of Barney's. We went there for years, Barney's. And what happened was, when I would bring the steaks home, everything was okay if I ate them there. When I bring them home, across the state line, his sauce was on the thin side, so they would get soggy. By the time I get home, they'd get soggy. So what I would have Barney do, make the steaks, have everything on it, the fried onions, the cheese, everything, and no sauce. Then I would bring them home, and then we would put our sauce on the steaks. So now we had the best of both worlds. His steaks and our sauce. It was fantastic. Really good.
Never did this.
Is that running?
Yeah, you could just talk to me. It doesn't.
Yeah. Well, we've been here. What should I say? Charlie's Pool Room, or?